hopefully we're all busy as I am with the silver tsunami.
Yep.
Oh, tell us about it, Tom.
41% of all the privately held companies in America are owned by baby boomers. Baby boomers currently are 61 to 81. So basically about half the businesses in America are owned by guys that average age of 70. It's just going to, I'm selling more businesses to for 7-year-olds now than I have in the last 10 years. And in the next, here's some numbers. For the next 5 to 6 years, there's expected to be $1 trillion a year in business sales. That's what commercial real estate does every year, about $1 trillion. So business sales are going to equal commercial real estate sales. And now step back and go, how many business brokers do you know, M&A experts, versus how many commercial real estate guys do you know? There's going to be an unbelievable opportunity. And I'm already seeing some of it.
Where do you live, Tom?
Just outside of Atlanta.
So you're a CCIM. Are you
Because of my,
primarily real estate?
I'm sorry?
You're a CCIM. Are you primarily real estate?
No, I'm primarily business brokerage. Um, I sold businesses. So business acquisitions is 30 years old. But when the recession hit and nobody was buying businesses and the SBA wasn't funding businesses, I reinvented myself as a commercial guy so I could eat.
Mhm.
Um, and got a lot of relationships going there, but we're spending 90% of our time right now just on business brokerage. The only commercial deals we're doing are ones that we already had or we fall into. All of our marketing is going after the business side. And
That
that's
are
not just in Atlanta. I've got because of EXP, I've got deals going in Tennessee, South Carolina, Texas. Had a mentee just close one in Florida. It's busy. They're out there.
I'm loving hearing this, Tom. This is music to my ears.
No, when I first heard those numbers, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was at a EXP event with about 200 commercial brokers in Boston. So I asked them, "Everybody, raise your hand here that does residential or commercial," and it was about everybody. So I said, "How many of you sell businesses?" And it was none. So I stood up on stage and said, "Okay, I now have 200 more people that know me to give me leads,
Yep.
and I've already gotten leads from them." So
how do you work those leads?
in what manner?
Well, I mean, I'm with EXP too. How do you work with EXP to get the leads? Do you just know the people? You just contact
Well,
them
the
directly?
people there, they got my name there because I was one of the speakers and had the QR code. But I'm always out marketing, pushing myself. 2 weeks ago, the SIOR had their national conference in Louisville. So I went to Louisville with a bunch of postcards. We sell businesses, we pay referrals. And
How much do you
I'm
pay?
already working with some of those guys in different states. So
What's your average referral fee?
I just basically tell people 20 to 25% of your whatever side you're sending me. You send me a seller or buyer, and then as you get closer to it, you can put a fine point on it.
Do you represent buyers or sellers?
Sellers 99% of the time. Buyers only if I know them or they're a middle market company. They have the money and they say, "Okay, I'm looking for this, and I know where I can get of this." Otherwise, I won't work with a buyer without some kind of agreement and money.
What's
I want
your
a deposit.
sweet spot in terms of size of business?
I'm sorry.
What's your sweet spot in terms of size of
Pretty much
business?
1 to 10 million, because my experience, I've done bigger ones, but my experience is if you get 10 and more, nobody wants to close. The investment bankers, no offense, Tanya, the attorneys, they want to bill, man. They're
Yeah.
not trying to close. You can close a dozen at half a million to 3 million before you'll get a $12 million one done.
So are most of these owner operated or are they manager operated?
Probably 80% are owner operated, and if there's a manager there, that's just because the owner decided he wants to golf or fish or something a little bit more than as he's getting older. But he's still coming in there a couple days a week to keep everybody honest.
Are they asset sales mostly?
Yes.
Do you have very many boardrooms you deal with?
You mean a company that has a board?
Yeah, that you have to run everything by a board.
No. I'll
You're,
refer those out to a couple of, a couple of the
yeah,
M&A
you're my
guys.
man. You're my, that's, yeah. I mean, I hope everyone's listening to what you're saying because it'd make their life a lot simpler if they just stick with what you're doing.
Yep.
I'm simple, so I try and keep things simple.
Yeah,
It's just a couple of those bigger ones, you get greedy, you get anxious, and next thing you know, you're in there 2 years and they're still not moving forward. So and other ones flip quickly, but the smaller ones, the ones the banks understand, right? Your blue collar stuff, manufacturing, distribution, anything with houses, they sell quickly. There's a lineup of buyers for them. The banks will fund them. Um, it's a lot easier.
do you do very many SBAs?
Every chance I get, because they pay me 1% of a fee most of the time.
How many do you think as a percentage do owner carry?
Um,
Have a portion that's financed by the owner or seller, I should say.
I'm going to go with about 85%. And sometimes the bank will surprise you. I had a referral about 2 months ago on a chain restaurant, which about the only type of restaurant I want to deal with. And the loan value needed to stay high enough that they couldn't ask the owner to take a note to hit their minimum. So this bank that's done a few of them with me and always demands the seller keep a note on this particular deal didn't demand a note because they wanted to do the loan.
It was a strong deal. Yeah.
But it wasn't that so much was strong as the bank didn't. If they would have made him take a note, it would have been underneath their minimum.
Oh, I get you size wise. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
and
were.
I think that also depends on the bank because they're the banks that I work with a lot of times don't want the seller to carry a note because for cash flow reasons, right? Because the if you think about it, most sellers are in their 70s or 80s. They don't want to carry a note for 10 years. SBA loan is 10 years long. So if the seller
Yeah,
only wants to carry a note for 3 years or 5 years, makes the payment higher if it's fully amortized, which affects the cash flow. And so a lot of times the banks will just say, no, I want to do the whole loan because the cash flow is stronger if I amortize the whole thing over 10 years. So then
I
they
agree.
don't want a seller note.
I've seen that too.
Yeah. So it just depends on the bank. There are some banks that say absolutely we want the seller to always carry at least, 10, 15%. But there are other banks that say no, we don't we just want the seller to go away. We'll do the loan.
That's okay by me.
Yeah.
Bigger loan, bigger check to me. So
Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, I hope you guys are paying attention because it's everything Tom said. It's like, yep, yep. Working with sellers, Silver Tsunami, good businesses in that 1 to 10 range, right? They're going to be very saleable. Lots of buyers out there looking for them.
Very impressive. Thank you, Tony.
now I've been doing this, 3 decades.
Only.
Oh, Tom, you don't have any gray hair. I think you're no, I think you're
Yeah,
pulling our
good.
leg. Okay.
Yeah, it's turning
What,
gray. It's turning loose.
Okay.
what would be your recommendation for people like starting in that business? Because you mentioned you gave us a couple of statistics. Did you say that the business sale will reach $1 trillion a year, like commercial sales?
Yes. I read the article. It might be trillion.
Trillion
It's
dollar.
gonna it's gonna equal business sales in the next 5 years. Every year will average about what the commercial real estate market is. And there's not that many business brokers compared to commercial realtors. So it's going to be a good next 4 or 5 years anyway.
Yep.
Okay, and you said the 50, 70% is owned by baby boomers?
41%, 41 point something percent owned by baby boomers.
Okay.